Well, hey there, folks. This is Dr. Franklin, and this is a presentation dealing with self awareness. Self awareness is really important when it comes to assisting people in actualizing. And in this presentation, we're going to talk about what self awareness is and eventually arrive at a point where we talk about strategies that you can utilize to enhance your self awareness. Self awareness is thought to be intrinsically positive and absolutely critical for ethical practice in working with clients. Think of self awareness as consisting of self knowledge about who you are and a heightened sensitivity or focus regarding what you are feeling in the moment. A lack of self awareness can cause the helper to not want to work with clients, and clients may not want to work with the helper because of their reactions. Now, there's nothing wrong with having a reaction to a situation. It becomes problematic, though, when that reaction is unexamined. Socrates said that an unexamined life is not worth living. A helper with unexamined thoughts, feelings, and reactions could make a person's life difficult to live. Examining oneself on an ongoing basis becomes critical because the self is used as a gauge of how others might react to the client that is being assisted. Additionally, it's necessary for the helper to be able to pinpoint when the client may be eliciting a reaction that would typically be experienced by others when working with the client, or if the helper is having a reaction based on their issues, background, worldview, etc. So it helps to be able to differentiate what is going on internally when working with the clients. Self awareness is really difficult to accomplish because it's oftentimes happening on an unconscious and subconscious level. But with intentionality, individuals can become adept at understanding themselves, their reactions, and thus become more effective in helping others. With commitment, individuals can get better at having self knowledge and insight, as well as they can get better at utilizing an ability to process here and now moments in regard to what they are thinking and feeling. You should think of self awareness as consisting of two components as listed in the slide. The goal is to increase facilitative self awareness and reduce hindering self awareness. Now, it's normal to feel insecure about using helping skills, to be incredibly self conscious and assisting others when trying to develop skills, and to doubt one's effectiveness. If a lot of time is spent focusing on doubt, then that's less cognitive energy spent on being present with the client. So at times, it may be necessary to treat hindering self awareness as birds flying over a nest with the goal to observe the bird flying and not allowing him or her to settle in the nest. The analogy speaks to the need to observe and not evaluate the self hindering awareness in the moment, but rather maximize that energy and sensitivity to one's own state and decline. Most helpers have common characteristics, and it's these traits and behaviors that led them to pursue a career in helping. Helpers tend to be lauded for being good listeners, empathic, intelligent, good sense of humor, great communicators, and the list goes on and on. Helpers may also be perfectionistic, unwilling to talk about difficult topics such as sex, politics, religion, and may be defensive. In the helping space, it can be difficult to tolerate ambiguity and process that there are rarely right answers. Individuals that have the positive and challenging characteristics I mentioned can still be helpers. They may, however, want to spend some time exploring how those characteristics I mentioned could impact their work in negative and positive ways. If you aspire to be a counselor or a psychotherapist, it's worth examining why you really want to do that type of work. Some people want to provide therapy or assist others because they personally had therapy and found it to be rewarding. Others want to alleviate suffering and pain. Others enjoy the intellectual stimulation. Others appreciate the opportunity to vicariously live through another person's experiences. Others find that in helping someone prioritize their mental health, they are more keen to focus on their own. Some people appreciate the need to be a lifelong learner. Some people want to enact and facilitate change on a broader level by assisting as many people as possible. Some people go into the realm of psychology and helping because they desire to understand themselves more. Some go into the field for achievement, fame, and wealth. Others go into the field because they love the idea of someone being dependent and reliant on them. The idea of feeling superior and being a savior for someone is a motivation that drives them to do the work. There are healthy reasons for wanting to be a helper, and there are destructive reasons which could really harm a client. It's important to examine your why if this is something that you really envision doing with your life. If healthy, the why will sustain you in times when the work is challenging and taxing. We all have biases based on stereotypes of groups, and it is truly a sad human tendency that we establish in group and out group viewpoints. We have a tendency to believe that people who are not a part of our in group are fundamentally different from us. This is especially the case if individuals have limited contact with others that are from different cultures. These issues are exacerbated when you consider that most helpers would not want to work with others that are aggressive, perhaps with a history of violence, or individuals who have abused, raped, and murdered others, or anyone from a group that may have different values or cultural backgrounds. For some helpers, it can be difficult to work with clients that express hostility, anger, or disdain, since helpers are typically known for characteristics that fall on the other end of the spectrum. If not careful, we can perpetuate stereotypes by way of microaggressions and even do so in even more explicit and conspicuous ways. Not only are out groups a challenge, but in groups are a challenge as well. Sometimes helpers can assume that the clients are too similar to them and run the risk of disclosing too much or providing advice, all the while forgetting that the person being assisted may be fundamentally different in some ways. Our unique cultural backgrounds predispose us to make many errors in working with people. And that's why it's necessary to engage in a lifelong aspiration of becoming more self aware. These are some activities that you engage in to increase self awareness. One of those activities is psychotherapy. Psychotherapy can be helpful in resolving issues that could affect your ability to help others. For example, it could be really difficult for a helper to chat with a client that has undergone abuse if they have unresolved feelings related to abuse that they have suffered. So going to therapy to talk about those things can put the helper in a better psychological and emotional space to be able to assist clients. Additionally, going to psychotherapy helps the helper to become better at understanding the experience of being a client and thus could increase the commitment to empathy when working with one's own clients. Struggling through a crisis or an issue on a personal level can help one be more sensitive to others when they are in a similar plight. Another way in which psychotherapy could be beneficial is the helper gets to see another helper in action, and the modeling of techniques could inspire or provide a framework to the cultivation of one's own skill set in pursuit of helping others. Self reflection can take many forms, but intentionality, as it relates to processing one's thoughts and feelings in written fashion, can help to organize one's self awareness and evaluate stuck points or areas that warrant additional exploration. Yoga and mindfulness may be extremely helpful for getting helpers to slow down and observe themselves, all the while resisting the urge to multitask or judge every thought or event that occurs. Other ideas for engaging in self reflection are listed on the slide. If there's a pool of water under the kitchen sink that continues to enlarge by the second and will continue to grow if unchecked, it's going to be hard to figure out how to manage the growing water if one does not know where the leak is. However, if you call in a plumber to shut down the main water line and then evaluate the pipe to determine where the leak resides, then one can properly address the water pileup. In the same vein, once an individual figures out what is causing their feelings, then one can figure out what to do with them. Finally, increasing self compassion can go a long way. Oftentimes, individuals are too critical of themselves. It's important for a person to accept themselves as a person who is imperfect and striving, who has negative and positive feelings, who has prejudices and biases, and positive and negative motivations, etc. It's kind of hard for you to point out to clients that they have a difficult time accepting themselves if you have a difficult time accepting yourself. Perhaps the client would say that Is the pot calling the kettle black? Maybe the kettle wouldn't mind so much being called black if the pot would just admit that its complexion resembled the night as well. So, engaging in self reflection helps us to be in a better space to help clients engage in self reflection and models to clients its importance. In sessions with clients, it's helpful to pause, to breathe and reflect, and then respond. Use positive self talk. Admit to the client if you lost track of what they are saying, and simply ask them to repeat themselves. All of these strategies will help one to stay present in the here and now moment with the client. It also helps to do a body scan and ask yourself what you are feeling and why. If you find yourself having an extreme reaction to a client, may help to make a mental note of that reaction, to bracket that reaction, examine it later, and then use that reaction and reflection to guide future sessions with clients. Supervision with a licensed professional can assist one in gaining self awareness, in addition to engaging in a healthy lifestyle and reviewing recordings of clients. Listen, trotting the path of self awareness is not an easy feat, but with the right support, commitment, and motivation, it can be a fulfilling process that will benefit everyone around you.